Now the OLED Steam Deck, the 512 gig version, is $789 and the 1 TB OLED is 949. I saw a couple times that it was out of stock again, so people are definitely still paying for that premium price, despite being hardware from how much already? 5 years ago. So yeah, these prices are horrible. I understand that RAM prices are higher, whatever, but I cannot. It's very hard to recommend the Steam Deck at this price. Now, due to this price increase, the ROG Ally X, and the Xbox Ally X actually seem like a decent price. They were deemed super expensive. Now they actually seem very reasonable. I recently reacquired a ROG Ally X because actually it costs basically the same as the Steam Deck OLED, at least in my country. Probably the Ally X, the Xbox ROG Ally X, and all those are also going to increase in price soon. So my quick advice for you, if you're looking for a handheld, probably an Ally X is the best choice. Instead of the 16 gigs from the Steam Deck, you get 24 gigs, so you can allocate 8 gigabytes for VRAM and keep 16 only for system. That's a big deal. But even looking at Amazon prices, you can find the 1 TB Ally X for $849, so it's cheaper than the 1 TB OLED Steam Deck. I heard many of you guys buying open box ROG Ally X's, and those were like 800, so something like that. So way cheaper than getting a Steam Deck, and you get much more memory, you get double the cores and threads on the CPU, way faster chip for GPU as well. So again, honestly, the Steam Deck at this price is super hard to recommend. The price hike is real. As long, again, as long as the ROG Ally X doesn't increase in price, which probably will, let's be honest, with the RAM prices and all that, you can get, if you already have a Steam Deck OLED, maybe get it on just sold on the used market, maybe add $100 and you can buy an Ally X. The thing is, of course, we're talking about SteamOS versus Windows. We're talking about more power, and we're talking about Steam support versus Asus support, which, let's be honest, is not good. Personally, what I'm doing right now, the Ally X is connected. I'm basically changing to a 2 TB SSD, just personal preference, because I want to have dual booting for Windows and SteamOS, so we have both of them. Personally, I really like SteamOS on the Ally X. I tried it in the past. The sleep mechanism from the Steam Deck is on the Ally X if you have SteamOS, so that's perfect. Linux for the win. And if I want to play those anti-cheat heavy games, I can go to Windows. Talking about Windows, the Xbox full screen experience has been pretty damn good. It's not perfect, still needs work, but actually launching the handheld and getting an Xbox logo and then just control everything with the controller works very, very well. Very little bugs so far. It's still Windows at the end of the day, so if I want to go to the desktop, I can, and uses less memory when it's in Xbox mode. One of the biggest differences that I've been noticing, I've been playing 007 First Light from IO Interactive. On the Steam Deck, I think, personally, it's very impressive, considering it's 720p on PS5. So on Steam Deck, what I did was 800p with balanced upscaling. That's FSR is horrible in this game, but we don't have much of a choice. And I put basically a mix of medium and low. I only kept reflections on high, everything else basically on low settings at 800p with balanced upscaling. That's basically 500p. But again, we're very starved on memory. We have 16 gigs on the Steam Deck, 4 go to the game, the rest goes for the system, and the game sometimes uses more memory, so we cannot crank up textures, we cannot crank up the rain detail. Again, new games use a lot of video memory, which is, again, the biggest limitation. But at the same time, you have a slower CPU and GPU, and I've been playing on the Ally X, and man, on the Ally X, I can do 1080p, again, 1080p, with balanced upscaling, with high textures, medium terrain, medium shadows, high reflections, all that good stuff. So 1080p balance. The 528p on the Steam Deck, we're actually getting 712p on the Ally X, which is a 35% increase in pixel count, with better textures, better effects, less slowdown when there's explosions. So to me, on a new game, that's freaking impressive. Remember that this game runs at 720p to be 60 frames on PS5, on the base PS5. And here I'm playing at half the frame rate of the PS5 at 712p, so very close to 720. And yeah, it's half the performance of performance mode on PS5. It looks fantastic. Of course, I hate FSR in this game, but with the 1080p, higher pixel count and balanced upscaling, it's actually, again, 35% more resolution on a smaller screen. So again, to me, it's a no-brainer to get an Ally X. Of course, if you don't like Asus in general, which I wouldn't blame you. I think the difference is too big to ignore at this price point. Again, if for the same price, you can get the same storage, but way faster CPU, way faster GPU. To me, it's a no-brainer, personally. And I've been playing on Windows. I haven't... Again, I played SteamOS when I had an Ally X a year ago, I think it was. Then I sold it because it was too expensive. So I was like, okay, nobody cares. But now I think it's more relevant. But now I think it's more relevant than ever. So before the price increases, again, I highly recommend you go for the Ally X if you can, more memory, all that. So again, the Ally X will be a new device to add to the channel. So keep that in mind. An addition. I'm not removing the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck will still have a huge audience. There's a lot of users, and people are apparently buying it anyway at the higher price. It's hard to compete with the trackpads that they have and all the custom features because they control the OS as well. The trackpads, at least to me, I use them a lot. But I'd rather sacrifice that than paying the same for such a slower device in comparison to the Ally X. Also, with less power, it gets pretty impressive performance. The Ally X uses more power. I found the sweet spot to be 22 watts, but when I plug it into the wall, it goes to 30 watts and I get a decent performance increase. So we're talking about, in this case, 007. The Steam Deck is at 15 watts, the Ally X is at 22 watts, so it's 7 watts more. Battery life on the Steam Deck, 2.5 hours. The Ally X has a bigger battery, and I had like 2 hours, 40 minutes. So they were very close in that regard. But again, the Ally X uses more power. I don't think it's a big deal considering what you get on such a small device. And also the screen on the Ally X is up to 120 Hertz, and it has VRR. So you don't have to use VSync to lock the frame rate like on the Steam Deck. On the Steam Deck, SteamOS, lock it to 30, that's what I usually say. But SteamOS is forcing VSync to get those 30 frames, a bit more latency, but it's an OLED screen. The OLED screen, oh, it's so good! So yeah, but it's hard to recommend the Steam Deck at this price. If you still want to buy it, go for it. I think it's a bad price. This also worries me when it comes to the Steam machine prices. It's probably going to be way higher. Or maybe they're pricing the Steam Deck higher so they can afford to put a cheaper Steam machine maybe. Also, the Steam Deck 2, very freaking far away. Valve says that they want same battery life and more than 50% more performance. Technology for that doesn't exist yet. And yeah, and if you're looking at, for example, the Ally X Xbox ROG Ally X instead of the Ally X, the normal one, is the Z1 Extreme versus the Z2 Extreme AI Plus something. Performance, I think, is 20 to 25% faster, the Xbox ROG Ally X, and it has AI features for upscaling in the future. But again, that's a promised feature. We have to wait and see. This doesn't mean I'm dropping the Steam Deck. No, I'm actually adding the Ally X and fighting against the Steam Deck at the same time, so you can see differences. Probably at some point the price will decrease, but once we get new devices, I don't know, maybe the Ally X2 or the Steam Deck 2 at some point, the prices will be stupidly high. If this is too expensive, imagine how expensive it's going to be in the future. If the situation for hardware and RAM doesn't get better, yeah, I don't see how this is going to change. So we're going to be stagnated with this hardware. So far, the Ally X is very impressive. The Steam Deck still runs stuff pretty well, but it's showing its age very quickly. And with such a massive price increase, again, hard to recommend right now. All up to you, of course. If you're a normal user, you're probably going to like the Steam Deck experience better. I don't like really setting up windows on the Ally X. I mean, the Xbox full screen experience doesn't start by default, so you have to kind of set it up. It's kind of a pain in the ass, honestly. It's very hard to recommend it at that price. I'm worried for the Steam machine pricing. Hopefully things improve in the future, but right now, my advice for you, if you're looking for a handheld, or maybe increase your handheld performance above the Steam Deck, you could probably sell the Steam Deck at a higher price than what you bought it for, add some extra money, get an Ally X before the price increases for that as well, But the situation is so bad that a $900 to $1,000 handheld seems reasonable. An ROG product seems priced reasonable. That's how bad things are. So that's it for now. Let me know what you think in the comments. I don't usually make videos like this, but this time I think it's an exception because I do a ton of Steam Deck content, and this closes the door for many people to buy it, honestly. If you're on a budget, maybe a ROG Ally, the normal one, with a Z1 Extreme is the best budget option right now, I'd say. It doesn't have a lot of battery life, but the performance is faster than Steam Deck, and you can do a lot of interesting things with it. But that's another conversation. So yeah, let me know how it goes. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're excited for the Ally X content versus Steam Deck as well. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys. Thanks for watching. And also a studio tour is going to happen. It's basically done.